Kerrigan.
So Heart of the Swarm actually started in concept many years ago. So at this point we're about 50% of the way through if I were to estimate. But oftentimes the very end of the game, the last 10% can take the longest period of time. And then as far as the campaign goes, it's a little bit shorter as far as amount of content than Wings of Liberty, but somewhere a little bit more than 20 missions is what we intend to ship.
I can remember so little from before.
I am the memory of you as the Queen of Blades.
What was I like? I remember doing terrible things. I remember blood and darkness.
You were mighty. You made us strong and smart. And we knew we would survive forever under you.
And now?
Now Zagara opposes you because she believes herself stronger. If she is, we will serve her when you are dead.
I'll kill all of you before I let that happen.
So the main concept for Heart of the Swarm is this is the Kerrigan story. And Kerrigan is coming back. As you all know, Kerrigan looks a little different right now from what you've seen in maybe some of the shots. But basically this is her story, and we want to focus on the events that led her to where she's at now. New unit-wide, we have a lot of new units in-game where, take your basic unit like the Zergling, you can customize your Zergling into something called a Raptor, which gives him the ability to jump and leap on his enemies. We have you make a Swarmling, and a Swarmling gives you 3 Zerglings instead of 2. 3. And so that's just the basic kind of example of what we're doing with some of the units. You can be sure that we're going to be doing that philosophy with some of your other units, like the Baneling, the Rogue, and a bunch of other Zerg units. And basically the philosophy for Heart of the Swarm is she's sort of the fallen Queen of Blades now. Will she get her powers back? Who knows? You'll have to follow the story and find out.
But we really wanted to get the fans a chance to see the work we were doing on Heart of the Swarm and show how different Heart of the Swarm is from Wings of Liberty. So people could see sort of the story elements, see what's going on with Kerrigan, see what's going on with the different game mechanics that you can play as you play through Heart of the Swarm. And it gives us a chance to get feedback from both our fans and from the press who've been able to get hands-on the software to see what they think, to see if the direction we're going is good.
The Flash is going to learn the hard way that I am Queen.
Flash freeze approaching. The Protoss will be vulnerable until it passes.
Warriors,
Flash freeze.
activate your shields until the flash freeze passes.
Yeah, so from Wings of Liberty to Heart of the Swarm, there's definitely some lessons learned. So we're really trying to make sure our missions allow players to complete the game. I mean, we looked at the statistics from Wings of Liberty, and there are definitely certain missions where players tended to not return after those missions. So we're trying to make sure in Heart of the Swarm that there aren't those same things. The other side of it will be the multiplayer side, which we don't have any specific examples to go into, and we'll make some decisions learned from Wings of Liberty in Heart of the Swarm.
So we all really love watching esports here at Blizzard, and we certainly all love watching the GSL. And we've actually had to tell people on the team, stop watching GSL, go back to work. We've got to finish Heart of the Swarm. Definitely a big Nestea fan now after watching him build spine crawlers in front of a Protoss player's base and wipe out his forces. I know we were also really surprised. Many, many months ago now, we watched Marine King perfectly spread out his Marines against Banelings. Everyone knew you couldn't use Marines against Banelings until that moment. And we're like, oh my God, look what he can do. So we really enjoy watching players invent new styles of play, and we really love watching new players come up with things that we've never seen, never anticipated, and just watching the players really engage with and explore and really take StarCraft 2 in directions that we never intended.
So we just released the 133 patch, and we're still looking for new issues. But judging from the stats or pro feedback and different materials, we're noticing that the balance of every matchup is pretty solid right now. So we're going to be focusing more on specific strategies that are a little more OP at a certain timing rather than trying to buff a race or nerf a race. And we're also trying to replace almost half of the ladder maps in the next season. So you can definitely look forward to that as well. We'd definitely like to see more foreign players playing in GSL. Looking at the World Championship games, we realized the skill difference between foreigners as well as Korean players is not as big as a lot of people believe. And so therefore, because GSL is the greatest and biggest Starcraft 2 tournament in the world, it would definitely be cool to see foreigners performing well as getting the recognition of the skill that they have.
I think balance designer should be in Code S too, just automatically.
Yeah. And the part of the prize pool should be set aside for balance designers.
Totally.
Even
if they don't win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I win.
Yeah, so you're right. There are some definitely Korean-inspired structures and buildings in Wings of Liberty. The development team was really inspired. We made a trip to Korea. Everybody on the Starcraft 2 team in a trip to Korea was inspired by the different architecture, put it into the game, and we had to make specific changes to make sure it wasn't too precise, but we definitely are inspired by Korea. Korea did influence things in Wings of Liberty and will influence things in Heart of the Swarm. It is, Heart of the Swarm is a campaign that is based around Kerrigan and creatures, but I'm sure in some way that there will be some influences seen throughout there. I don't have any specific examples at this time.
We need to go out to Korea again and take some pictures so we can have reference material.
Right.
So we'll have to go to Korea again pretty soon. Soju,
Yeah.
yeah. In the bottom of the bottle. Some Zerg bulgogi. Okay, strong Korea for the swarm.
Fighting GSL, fighting StarCraft 2.
Korean StarCraft players are some of the most passionate StarCraft players in the entire world. We here at Blizzard are very thankful for all of our Korean fans and all of the amazing energy, effort, and passion that our Korean fans have put into playing StarCraft, promoting StarCraft, playing esports, and putting on great tournaments like the GSL. We're very thankful for all of your efforts and all of your passion. So good luck and have fun. I love GOMTV and the GSL.
Go like this.
I love GOMTV and the GSL.
Like this. You have to make a heart.
Oh my god. Can you guys send me a screen grab of that?
I love GOMTV and the GSL.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Welcome back to the GSL. I am Wolf, and with me is Mole Trap. Trying to finish a snack before. You said you were getting a snack. It's no secret. Told everybody.
It's true.
Finished it. I wasn't so lucky. Wasn't able to get a snack.
Sorry. You want some of mine?
No. We're on screen now. We're casting. I don't eat on camera. That's rude.
I'll give it to you when we're not on camera anymore. Anyway.
Like that's going to happen.
Okay. You're right. We're going to be on camera for the rest of the evening.
Actually, we're going to cast like this while the game's on. He goes, I can't see that. We're like going to give you play-by-play.
See that screen over there? Yeah, we're just going to put the game there and you can look over our shoulders at it. Not the case, actually. By the way, for those of you just joining us, Tastosis was scheduled to cast today, but again, there was a bit of a scheduling error, and they are actually on a flight right now. They may have landed at this point. I'm not sure when they left, but they were flying to Columbus today to cast MLG. So, of course, tomorrow there's going to be one more day of the round of 32, and then the whole weekend there will not be GSL because the MLG tournament will be going on, and some of the competitors from GSL will be there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Bomber is playing today because he's got MLG to go to. So today's not a scheduled day, but he will be playing against an ST. And the fourth match, but the third match, the match we have coming up is Slayer's Ryung versus MVP Violet.
It's going to be pretty cool, actually. I'm really looking forward to that. It's
Violet is a player who's really shown himself. Like, he just kind of appeared suddenly, and he hasn't done badly yet. You know, he's done really well in most of his games. So he has a lot of potential. A lot of people are looking at him going, this guy's pretty scary. He's pretty good.
Now, here's the thing, though, is Violet, he's done very well against other Zergs. He beat another Zerg to get here. He's still undefeated versus Zerg. He's done well against Protoss. hasn't beaten a Terran yet. Now, partly that's
true.
because in his entire GSL history, he's played the entirety of MVP. So
He's pretty good, I heard.
MVP is pretty good. What are you talking about? That scrub didn't even make it to the round of 16. So bad. Just kidding. Anyway, so point being, we don't really know what Violet is capable of versus Terran players.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have a player that's like really, really good, but they just don't understand a matchup. So I don't think that's the case with Violet, but I'm just saying like we have yet to see, so we can't really say too much.
Yeah, and even if he didn't understand it before, he may have figured it out since then. So I'm really excited to see his potential here in this matchup now today, because his ZVZ has been awesome. And his ZVT, we haven't really seen a whole lot yet. So let's take a look at our players. Our very first player we've got lined up is Slayer's Ryung, currently in Code A. Made it to the semifinals of Code A in May, but was not able to advance to Code S. His win rate versus Zerg is recently undefeated, 1 win and 0 losses. And to get here, he took out Inca 2-0.
Yeah, he had to face down some really difficult Protoss players, Hongan and MC, in those up and down matches, so he didn't get into Code S, but he did beat Revival, a pretty interesting Zerg, in Code A last season.
Yeah, Revival was able to take out Ensnare just recently. There's a shot of him now. Got a funny face, looks really focused.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I asked Ryung kind of how he was feeling today. I was doing. He's never like super confident. He's always like, yeah, I might win. He's kind of the same today. I remember I asked him before facing Inca, I'm like, man, you have to face Inca. Like, how do you feel about that? He's like, oh. He just kind of like non-committal about it. Didn't seem that happy. And then he destroyed Inca hardcore.
Yeah.
So today I asked him the same thing. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, how's your TVZ? He's like, I don't know. We'll find out. I'm like, all right. But when he gets in the game, he's super focused. So we're gonna find out her pretty soon. There's our Zerg player.
So MVP Violet, former Warcraft 3 player, if I'm correct. And this last time I said that, you were like, I think you're wrong. I was like, I don't know. He actually defeated OGS The Wind 2-0. And obviously has a 100% win rate versus Zerg. His recent Terrans, or actually all the Terrans I think he's ever been on televised.
Yeah.
It's a 0 win and 1 loss. Of course, it was against MVP. He's currently a Code S player, though.
Yep, that's the thing. He did make it into Code S, whereas Ryung did not. Violet taken out, I believe. I don't know who took out the up-down matches. I'll find that out. But definitely made it into Code S on his first try. And so definitely a strong player. We're going to find out here pretty soon. The first map is going to be a very large map, Terminus RE. R-E.
Yeah, it's the revised edition.
I was just going to say, I already forgot what RE stood for.
LE is Ladder Edition, Revised Edition, and then there's Standards Edition. I think those are all the ones.
Let's see.
Moltrap looking up the stats.
I'm confused.
He's confused.
It's telling me that, oh, never mind, I'm looking at Ryung stats, that's why I'm like confused. I'm like, oh. Stats. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to be Terminus. Some version of Terminus. RE is the one with the rocks that block your third, so there's like another way into your third base. So you can't just take one choke point and hold that. I think it's going to be good for Violet. Probably going to see, oftentimes on this map, Terrans will take that big choke, and Zergs try and break down the side and get in.
Yeah, Ryung eliminated Tal'Darim Altar, which makes me wonder how he feels about his late game, because Tal'Darim Altar, a map that normally goes to the late game, and his first match is going to be on Terminus RE, so that could be showing of how his late game style ends up playing out. And of course, we do see that Violet eliminated Crossfire because, like I said last game, siege tanks are so powerful on the map, it's hard to use melee units, it's hard to break up if your opponent gets in a good position, so I think Zerg players is a pretty good choice to eliminate Crossfire. Just with how the map plays out right now, people haven't really figured out a way to get around those siege tanks. The game is changing, the map's fairly new.
Yep. But we are gonna, excuse me, we are gonna be starting here on Terminus RE in just a moment. By the way, it was Kyrix after all that Violet beat to get into Code S. We will see if Ryung can get farther here in the Super Tournament than he did in the up and down match, where Violet can take the win here at the GSL Super Tournament.
Slayers Ryung versus MVP Violet.
All right, here at the left side of Terminus Re is our Terran player. Member of Slayers trying to bring it home with 3 wins for Slayers. Ryung.
Our third Slayers player of the day.
Third Slayers player. Just feels like there should be a tongue twister about that. Here's our Zerg player, though. Used to play Warcraft 3 at a very high competitive level.
MVP Violet.
Should be like a tongue twister. Like, how many Slayers players can Slayers play? You know? If Slayers played players, how many Slayers players could Slayers players play?
You should say slay. How many players?
How many Slayers players could Slayers players slay? How many non-Slayers players could Slayers players slay? If Slayers players could slay players.
Bull trap. I think my head just exploded. That was clever.
Looks intact to me.
Your jokes, man. Yesterday your jokes weren't that good, but today.
What?
You admitted to it.
You're not
yesterday.
supposed to say that?
You admitted to it, man.
No, it's true. I'm not denying it, but still.
Your jokes are
kind of
improving,
mean to point it out.
Well, luckily for Violet, he does spot right away with his Overlord that his opponent is at close positions. I say close, but it is Tal'Darim, or not Tal'Darim, excuse me, Terminus Re, so it's not that close. And of course, sees that there's no barracks going up immediately, so knows, okay, I'm not getting 2 raxed. In fact, he's going to send that drone in right now. Oh, he wanted to, but Ryung is not going to allow it. Blocks that preemptive supply depot. Denied. Was a hatchery first, by the way, for Violet. Started spawning pull up. No gas just yet.
What ifs? Don't need no gas. Do have gas coming in for Ryung, though. And he's using it to build a tech lab thus far. Does have a lot of gas to make. We may see Factor here at some point.
Wouldn't surprise me. Marine wants to chase that Overlord out. Does get chased away.
It's actually a Reaper. It's going to be produced.
Yeah.
And very strong move. It's good on this map. There's a lot of ways. Well, it's middling on this map. There's a lot of ways that you can run Reapers into the side.
Yeah, when your opponent doesn't go gas, if you make a second Reaper and you keep those Reapers alive, you can just kill so much stuff. You know, after the Reapers got nerfed, a lot of players said, oh, you can't use Reapers anymore, but you really can. It's just that part of the problem was Reapers got nerfed right around the same time Zerg players were kind of trying to figure them out, so then now Zerg players play really safe, but if you play against an opponent that goes hatch first and you do a similar Reaper opening to what we've seen in the past, you can still do a ton of damage.
Yeah, and we don't see him producing another Reaper at this point, but we did see a player the other day, I don't remember what matchup it was, go for like 3 Reapers and do a lot of damage against the Zerg, just kiting around with it. And here that Reaper is going into Violet's base and gets pushed back by the Queen. That was lackluster.
Yeah, didn't really get to see anything. Here comes some Zerglings, and Ryung actually does not have his Marine just now. Arrives in time to see those.
I'm really surprised he didn't even try and run around.
Oh, he might be able to catch all these lings with this Reaper. He micros it. He's got a Marine helping out as well. Nice control. Takes out all the lings. Loses nothing.
Yeah, he's just going to probably just take control of a tower there. Oh, no, look.
Oh.
Look at the tower
in the middle of the map. The Zelnaga Watchtower taken in Slayer's Boxer fashion.
Yep. And he can just park a Marine in there. Or the Reaper, I guess. Probably the Marine is going to go in behind that depot, and he can just hide it there, and it'll take control of the tower and be protected against Zerglings for a decent amount. So that's kind of a cool little spot there. You know what?
Reaper. Oh, took out the Creep Tumor. Nice.
That's actually really good. Slayer's Ryung. I hear he knows Slayer's Boxer.
Yeah, they're pretty good friends, I would say.
I think they're on the same team or something.
Yeah, they kind of play together sometimes. Maybe live in the same house. Possibly.
I think Boxer probably has his own place.
Well,
a lot of the older players
true.
And the more experienced players, like coaches and stuff, do like have their own places.
I'm sure he spends the night sometimes. They have sleepovers.
What's this SCV gonna see? Nothing.
Did not see the second gas, which is pretty huge. That's pretty much all there was to see.
Yeah.
And a Baneling nest going down for Violet. Pretty quick.
I like that. It's a very smart thing to do when you don't know what the Terran player is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And he does not, because they could just come up with a bunch of Marines. And if you don't have a few Banelings mixed in there, you're going to be pretty bad off. Now remember that Reaper did take out the Creep Tumor, that first Creep Tumor. Has he made another? Yes, he has invested in another one. But the Creep's not going to go very far out from his base, so if Marines do come in there, Banelings that are slow are not going to be too effective until he gets right in next to his base. Just something to think about when he is pushing in there. But he's just taking a third. Violet's taking a third right now.
Yeah, making a ton of Zerglings as well. 18 Zerglings in production now. Speed is not quite done, but it's almost done. The Baneling Nest is done. Reaper, nice, takes out another Creep Tumor. Reapers with their D8 charges, man. One charge, throw it at that Creep Tumor, it's done. Goodbye, Creep Tumor. Pretty quick reactor there for Ryung. He's going to start medevac production.
Yeah, Reapers
Whoa, little engagement there in the middle.
I was going to say, Reapers do a ton of damage to buildings and other building-like structures.
Yep. Ryung pretty far ahead in tech, I would say. Lair just now starting for Violet, whereas Reactor Starport's already up and running. That's pretty huge. A lot of Marines out in the middle of the map as well. And is he going to hold the tower?
Oh, whoa, you're just supposed to be inside that depot, buddy. That Marine's my buddy. Zerglings are going to run around the side, though. And Gopher, this is not wise at all. He's going to lose all these Zerglings if he goes in. Okay, he is just going to send a couple in to scout and see what's up. That's a smart move.
I think he wanted to see, do you have siege tanks yet? Not. And he sees no siege tanks.
I thought he was going to run all of his Zerglings in. I was like, that's kind of suicidal. You might not want to do that.
Smart they did pull back and decide not to. Smartly, Violet has some Banelings back in his main base.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I bet those Marines are going to be dropped as soon as the medevacs get out. Stim just finished, so it was kind of a cool little timing where he was going to get some Stim Marines in the back of the base and kill a bunch of drones if that was a possibility.
Oh, and trying to take control of the Zelnaga Watchtower, not quite able to.
He still doesn't have a Marine behind that depot. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Anyway, but he's pumping out more, well, actually not at the moment, but he's put out a couple medevacs, and he's starting to get his upgrades going. Speed for the Banelings is going up, and the creep is finally pushing its way out of Violet's main base, and the Spire has gone down. So Violet setting himself up for the mid-game.
Yeah, he was droning pretty hard, but
if
now
that Marine had been behind that depot,
it would have been fine, but here comes a push. Killing a lot of Creep Tumors, lifts up and gets out there. And basically, before mutas are out, you can get away with this stuff so much. Looks like the depot will fall, though. And that will actually supply block Ryung at 86 out of 86.
I wish I spoke Korean.
Why is that?
So I could ask Ryung after the game, why didn't you put a Marine behind that depot? A little bit of an attempt at a drop here. Gets thwarted, and the Spire is almost complete, so these drops are going to be far less effective very soon. Ryung has basically missed his opportunity here. He hasn't done any damage with these drops.
Look how much money
Oh my God!
Violet has 1,600 murals backed up. He's going to make 13 Mutalisks all at once.
Whoa! Usually you see Zerg like save up for like 7 meters or something like that. He was like saving larva and money for like the last couple minutes and made 13 mutas at once. That is huge. And if Ryung doesn't realize that's going to happen, he's going to lose these dropships and stuff if he goes in for another drop.
But he's very nicely taking out these Creep Tumors. If you can take out that many Creep Tumors with your Marines, it's definitely worth the scan. Does have that third command center up. He's probably going to send it over to take a third base here pretty soon. Give you guys a worker count number. 55 drones to 55 SCVs. That could change very quickly, though,
and
now that all these
drop.
mutas are out. 13 mutas.
Went back in for another kill and did get destroyed. 13 mutas, and is he producing anymore? It looks like he stopped producing mutas. He is getting the carapace for his flyers, though, for his mutas, and I guess it applies to overlords as well.
And that usually means you want to have the mutas out for a long time and use them for a longer period of time. Here they come now.
Yeah, exactly. You get the carapace upgrade for your mutas if you want to make sure they survive longer, so you get a larger pack of them later on.
Yeah. And the thing about getting +1 attack for the mutas is that it's better for sniping tanks and things like that.
Exactly.
But there really aren't that many tanks out at this moment, so there's 4 tanks out, but he's not pushing with them at this moment, so it's smarter to get the carapace upgrade, and I like that choice.
Yeah, and without the carapace, you can't really engage Marines ever, but with the carapace, like sometimes against a few Marines, it's okay to go in there and like snipe Marines too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Marines and carapace, the Marines do have +1 attack, and armor and +2 attack are both on the way at this moment, as well as +1 vehicle weapons. Burrow nearly complete, and a lot of Banelings being morphed, as well as +2 melee attack, and here come the mutas, but smartly, nice. Ryung has his Marines split up very nicely in several different locations. There's no good way for the mutas to sneak in, but speaking of sneaking in, looks like he might want to try to attack the third base. He's actually just going to go!
Tons of Banelings rolling in here, doing massive damage. There's not a complete wall, so they just roll in and kill all the tanks. Those Marines trying to run to the high ground. The depot does not go up, and they all go down. Absolute slaughter. and the Mutalisk can now just clean up whatever SCVs or spare Marines are lying around without protection. Looks like he doesn't have a backup force, though. Violet is producing another attack, though. He's morphing 12 more Banelings. He's going to snipe that tank, which he really needed against the 12 Banelings and Mastlings that are going to come in for the secondary attack very soon. Ryung is on the ropes right now.
Yeah, and I really love this move by Violet. He was like, I noticed you have your Marines kind of split up. I'm just going to go for it, and he did. He was able to do so much damage that he's like, okay, you don't have that many siege tanks. Your Marines are in 3 different places. I can kill those Marines, attack your natural. Man, things are looking really bad. He's forced to lift his orbital. And it looks like the tank at the top of the ramp going to get sniped. Not the best uses of Banelings, though, and all these SCVs kind of in a funky spot. The Mutas could capitalize on it. Mutas do have Carapace, so they do much better against those Marines.
Oh, but he does
just too many.
Does lose most of his Mutalisk, though. And Violet, you know, I kind of feel like this is one of those situations where he's like, I'm ahead. I should try and kill him and make him get even with me.
Right.
So he kind of lost a lot there, and now Ryung is kind of back in this. Ryung, in fact, has a supply lead, although Ryung throwing away a drop over here. Well, I don't want to say throwing away. It was a good attempt, but it got cleaned up pretty quickly without too much damage.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to drop when your opponent's just kind of sitting on 3 bases. He's got Mutas out. The only time you can really do it is if he tries to take a hidden expansion or something like that. If he's got Mutas out, dropping in general is a bad idea.
Yeah, but I feel like Violet probably should have just, like, after he won that big battle,
go home.
Used his Mutas to, like, kill some SCVs, send in some more Banelings, and then try to kill some SCVs, maybe kill an orbital, and yeah. And once the things got thick again, go home and take a 4th. He did take a 4th, but I mean, he had a real opportunity, and he just kind of let Ryung get back in the game there.
Then he kept just kind of throwing some units away here and there, and that was bad. But there's a Baneling landmine set up actually right outside of Ryung's base, so if he tries to move out, that could be interesting. Baneling landmines generally tend to be interesting at the very least.
To make a very big understatement.
Hydralisk Den going down.
Hydralisk Den.
You very rarely see Hydralisk in this map.
Whoa! That is really interesting. I'm really curious to see what role that plays, the Hydralisks.
Mutas snipe a tank. That's all they did. We're like, oh, they're going to come in. No, just kills a tank. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing special.
And Ryung builds another command center. He's going to try and float it out to the minerals just outside of that choke. It's going to be much harder to hold the outside choke. He does scan as he moves out to kill any Baneling landmines that are on the way to his 4th. So smart move by him. And he does have a Thor out as well, which is going to make these Mutas much more, much easier to deal with, I guess. Of course, he does have the Carapace for the Mutas, so Thors won't be able to do quite as much, but Thors pack a heavy punch, so Mutas still need to run away from him.
They do quite a bit of damage to light units. They're 4 attacks. In fact, they do 14 damage per attack, 4 attacks to light units. That's with the upgrade, though, which he does have.
Yeah, he's got +1 on his mech, which is good for the tanks as well. They can slaughter Banelings even faster. And
here comes
these
the Mutas
running in to try and get some snipes in the back, and I'm not sure. Well, actually, he had an opportunity, but he decided to play it safe and a little bit unsieged here. Banelings hitting the tanks, though, so the Marines able to turn around and hit Mutas, but there's just too many Banelings, and they're able to take out tanks and chase Marines away at the same time, and Ryung still not quite able to take control of that area of the map for his 4th.
A very interesting game thus far. Violet kind of being really decisive at times, and then other times a little bit indecisive. Now this drop actually going to kill quite a few
damage.
drones.
Drone's not running. However, he doesn't target the drones down.
Here comes a huge attack, and the Zerlings are out of position. Well, actually, he's going to use them to great effect because the Marines weren't ready. And now the Mutas are kind of cleaning most of this stuff up, but they need to get away.
Yeah, there was just too many Marines left firing there, and not enough Banelings to continue chasing him.
If he had brought all of his stuff at once, that would have been very good engagement.
And he blew all of his Banelings. Like, Ryung like fell back and made like a little wall with his tanks and his Thor, and all the Banelings that were there landed on those, which is not effective.
Yeah, it's not very effective to put in Pokemon terms.
Yeah. You especially don't want a Baneling force.
You're the one who said earlier that you didn't really play Pokemon. You didn't know about that.
No, and someone like yelled at me for using the wrong terminology.
Got to get you hooked up on that, man. Get it up on the emulator on your PC at home. Take out your Game Boy Color. Uh-oh, these Mutas are going to fly right into Marines!
I'm so elderly that I had an original Game Boy without color.
I had a Game Boy Pocket. I didn't have the original one. I had the one that you could change the contrast. It was really small.
So there's a planetary up now at the 4th base of Ryung, by the way. So that's pretty safe. That's going to be hard for Violet until he gets some kind of critical mass to really take that on. He's not doing roaches. Roaches are kind of what you need against planetaries if you're not just going to, you know, right-click 23 banelings. That's
true. Siege tanks do hit that hatchery. Does have a lot of infestors out.
Yeah, those could be really, really good. If he can fungal those Marines and hit them with banelings, easily take out Ryung's army, but it's going to be hard with the tanks there if he targets it down. Fungal on the front Marines and fungal on the tanks. And some of the Marines do get fungal, but there's not enough banelings to follow up, so all the mutas are going to get slaughtered, and he's going to lose his 4th base as well.
That's it,
And
man.
Violet, sensing his impending doom, leaves the game.
That's what I was just like, that's it, man. He's got so many units, he just lost everything.
Yeah.
That was a bad engagement. He threw away his infestors, and his banelings just weren't ready yet. He should have just let the hatchery take a few more hits.
Yeah.
Got his forces kind of set up, and that's one thing I've noticed about Ryung, or rather Violet in this match. Is just like in certain situations, he had a force where he could have won the fight, like, you know, not only won it, but won it overwhelmingly, and then he was just like, oh, let me send half of my army, then like, yeah, that army gets obliterated, and then he's like, oh, but I have my other half, and we can't win.
A little too headstrong in general. We saw that with his first attack too, or his second rather. Or his first attack went and he killed everything. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna send in a bunch of stuff piecemeal and let it all die now and let Ryung get it back into the game, get an advantage. Instead of like mounting up a big killing blow or falling back and getting more base or something like that. So same sort of thing at play. When you're under attack like that, when you're under siege, you need to wait and get as much as possible to the absolute last possible moment when you need to absolutely defend, and then you go. You don't want to just be like, oh, well, my hatchery's under attack by 1 tank, I'll need to get to it. So, anyway, but well played by Ryung, though. Definitely well played. Didn't get much done with those drops, though. That was kind of cool of Violet to be like, 13 mutas, go! Take out your drops.
Yeah, he was being pretty smart with the mutas at first, and then he started kind of throwing them away a little bit, and that came back to bite him, I'd say.
Yeah, it bit him hard. Bit him in the jugular.
Jugular?
Yeah. Jugular vein. Wasn't very comfortable, I imagine. Anyway, some of the people that were here before have gotten their food and they're coming back in to watch Game 2, which is going to happen shortly between Ryung, who's up a game, and Violet, the former Warcraft 3 Pro, actually current Warcraft 3 Pro as well, from what I heard. Who is going to win? Is Ryung going to take the series, or can Violet bring it to a tie? Let's find out.